what's going on, guys? It's a Wednesday. I actually went to the comic book store when comics come out, so I figured why not do a big haul of things I've been buying the last few weeks, because I got some great stuff today. I wish I could say I read some great books today, but I got a lot of DC stuff, and it's going to get interesting with that stuff. But I wanted to start on a positive, well, mostly positive. I wish I could say I had time to do a Last Ronin #2 review. I didn't, so I'm just going to go ahead and review it now for you while I'm thinking about how great this book was. But first, I do want to say hi to JB Discovery Bay, hanging out in the chat with a wave. How you doing, JB? I do also want to thank everybody who came out to the Comic Core claim sale a couple weekends back. As you can see, I still have all the letters and gimmicks up from that sale. So I definitely want to do it again very soon, because as you're going to see in this haul, I got a lot of books that I still keep buying, and that means I still have books that I need to get out of the way to bag and board and make room for these books. So if you're looking for something, hit me up. All right. So I actually do have multiple copies of The Last Ronin #2. I actually ended up getting a steal of a deal on this one on eBay. I did a pre-order on it. Surprisingly, they wanted, I think, $30 for the incentive cover, but they also threw in the A cover for free, basically, which, hey, if you've been paying attention, they're still $9 books. So, yeah, like $18 for, I guess that would be the value. If this was actually sold at cover, which no one's selling this thing at cover, let's be honest. But I think this Sophie Campbell variant here may be the best Last Ronin cover so far. Let me know what you guys think about that. But I'd say so far, this is my favorite Last Ronin cover, incentives, regulars, whatever. But yeah, I had to have this one as soon as I saw it, so I wanted to make sure I got a copy in case issue 2 got inflated like the first one did. Luckily, it seems like at my shop, it hasn't. They still have copies of Last Ronin #2, the A cover on the shelves at least. So hopefully now the people who actually want to read and enjoy Last Ronin, instead of look at it as a collector's piece, can actually just go to the shop and buy it. Because I know I had a few friends of mine, they're, kind of casual Turtles fans, heard about this story and really wanted to go read it, but they couldn't go read it, not digitally, the day that came out because of distribution problems and, scalpers and such. So, yeah, I'm glad it's at least decrescendoing to the point where people can read and enjoy the story, because it's really good so far. But just a quick couple-second review, because I got a lot to show. And by the way, what is going on, Chris Barrett? You definitely want to stay tuned, Barrett, because I found a book you're really going to like. You've been harping me about this certain book, and I actually found another copy of this book. So stay tuned, Barrett. I know there's going to be a book coming up you're going to like and enjoy. But yeah, I'd say Last Ronin, they're 2 for 2 so far. I may still do a very detailed review later down the line. But at least in this one, you kind of get to see what happens, at least, I guess, spoilers at this point. As long as I'm holding up the book, we're talking spoilers on Last Ronin 2. So if you don't want it spoiled, put it on mute until I lower the books. So basically, you get to see how Raphael dies in this one. You also find out that April, she's missing a few limbs. They open up the first panel. You kind of see a few robot parts laying around, like Donatello's been there and that stuff. So that kind of gives you the hints that something is kind of off here with April. And then they cut to another scene. She's missing literally an arm. She's missing an arm and a leg, literally. So she has robot parts, and it turns out she has a daughter as well, which is basically Casey Jr. It is not Shadow Jones, apparently, like from the City at War storyline of the Volume 1 Mirage run, which, by the way, if you're looking for something to read in these 3 months in between issues, go read City at War Volume 1 from the Mirage Ninja Turtles Volume 1. It's great. I think it adds a lot of ideas that they're using in this last run, because in this, they actually do talk about this peace treaty between the Turtles and the Foot Clan, and I'm pretty sure it's got to be the same treaty that is established between Karai and the Ninja Turtles in that City of War volume. So something has broken that treaty. We don't know what yet. Maybe we'll never find out. It was just bound to be broken. But basically, he gets annihilated. Like, I don't know if he's dead, dying. He's probably dying, of course. It's Last Ronin. So obviously Splinter is not in Michelangelo's present, or the Ronin's present, however you want to call him in this. But Raphael, you know how he goes. He's a hothead. He is the Sonny Corleone of the Ninja Turtles. So when somebody does something to your family, you're going to go retaliate before, one can use their brain to figure out what actually needs to be done. So Raph goes and wipes out a bunch of Foot Clan members, but he ends up taking Karai one-on-one. They end up in the water, and Karai deals a death blow to Raphael while she's got a sigh in her back. So if you're at issue 1, Karai, she's kind of like in like some sort of cryostasis, kind of like Mr. Burns in the future of The Simpsons, and Smithers was holding on to his body. Like Karai's son is holding on to her body. Don't even know how she has a son because he's not in any of the past events. So we'll see what happens with all of that. And the story kind of ends with Michelangelo getting to know what's going on with April and Casey Jr. Kind of find out he's a little bit bigger. He's tougher than he used to be when he was a teenager. He has regenerative abilities because of, his mutation and, the effects of the ooze. Something that's just really never been touched on that much before in, series turtle storytelling. So I thought that was cool. But the story's last panel actually has April holding like what looks to be Fugitoid's head. What that has to do with anything, we don't know yet, but obviously turtle fans recognize Fugitoid. What does that mean? I guess we'll find out 3 months from now. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed issue 1, definitely go to your shops and buy issue 2 because it's, from what I can tell, it's still available. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, it was very good. So like I said, I wanted to talk about some good before we get into this week's actual releases. So we still got Discovery Bay hanging out in the chat. Once again, Chris Barrett, thank you for staying tuned. And Mr. Gretzky, 9966. What is going on, Gretzky? Nice to see you in the chat tonight. And then the other one I read right before the stream started because I just felt like sometimes you eat enough like bad food or something. You need a palate cleanser. You drink enough bad alcohol, for instance. You need that like little chaser, a palate cleanser to refresh yourself and all that good stuff. So Gore Vidal, one of my favorite viewers here, Gore Vidal, an excellent YouTuber. If you ever see him in your comments, you're having a good stream if he's commenting and all that good stuff because he has some great, insightful commentary to put in the comments. And he has been harping me in my comment section to read this issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 33. Richard Corbin art in this. And by the way, I need to read some more Richard Corbin stuff. The art in this is amazing. If you like this cover, in my opinion, the art on the inside is even better. And this is basically like Turtles in Time condensed down into one fun TMNT issue. So I could definitely tell why he's like, dude, you need to read this comic book. Everything you've told us you'd like, it's in that comic book. So open it up and read it. And I'm very glad I did. So basically, there's this character named Renette. She's a time traveler. She's introduced in, I believe, TMNT Volume 1, Issue 8. And she's actually a character that was in the most previous issue of TMNT, the IDW run. Why am I mentioning all this? Because Renette, that character is the exact character in all of Turtles. So we have different iterations of Turtles, like the Volume 1 Turtles, the Mirage, there's cartoon Turtles, there's the IDW Turtles. Renette has met all of those individual Turtles. She is one character. The individual versions, they're different characters, basically. So Renette is in this. She gives the boys basically a gift. It's a time cube. Just because, the Turtles helped her out, she gave him a gift. And what does Donatello do? He starts pressing buttons, and they go back, as you can see here, in the pirate times. And they kind of are like, the cube adapts them to their time. It's like Donatello has a peg leg, because he has a bow staff now. He has like a bow leg, basically. Raphael has like rotted out teeth, and he's all mad about it. He has bad breath. Leonardo has an eye patch. He's missing an eye. And all that happens to Michelangelo is he has a mustache, and it makes the other 3 turtles mad because they all have these defects that they now have to fight with. And then Michelangelo just has to deal with having a mustache. So they basically beat up all the pirates, figure out there's treasure. They start playing with the cube again, and that's where you kind of get into what the Turtles in Time game was based off of. They end up in feudal Japan. You see that. They end up fighting the Knights of the Round Table. They end up... I can't remember if the train heist is on here or not. There's one more time they go to, and it's a lot of fun. And eventually they meet themselves as the funniest part. They end up trying to go home, but they actually travel 5 minutes before they originally left, and it causes a time quake, and they get launched into prehistoric times, of course. And you know what happens to the Turtles every time. But an excellent issue of TMNT. surprisingly easy to find. Like every time I end up getting like a bundle on eBay or a cow bundle from the Kevin Eastman shop, this is thrown in almost every single time. So I think I actually gave this out as a freebie to a couple people who participated in my last claim sale. This is actually my extra copy. I never even took my actual near mint copy out of the file. So the next claim sale we have, this will probably just be going to somebody some way, somehow, whether it be a sell or a toss in. But yeah, that's going back on that pile of stuff to sell down there. All right, we still got Gretzky hanging out. What's going on, man? Chris Barrett says the best Turtles are 2003 cartoon. Oh, yeah, absolutely. People, I mean, if that's your Turtles, man, that's if you watch that all the way through, I'm sure the stories in that were probably better than the 1990s cartoon stories. It was more about just fun and cowabunga, dude. And then I think 2003 was the best of all of those worlds. And then IDW comic book branched upon that. All right, so let's get into the modern what we kind of read this week pile. I got a few cover buys in here, and this was the top of the cover buy list for me. I don't plan on really reading this, but Jim Bartell, definitely one of my favorite current artists going, and she's doing this series of women's history covers now. But this one, in my opinion, takes the cake in terms of all these variants I've seen that she has on the way. The She-Hulk 70s woman variant. So I thought that was a really cool cover. I think people are going to be looking for this one day. But I had to have at least one of these Bartell variants. And so far, I think this is the best one of the lot. I think I might have the Spider-Woman one pre-ordered as well. Maybe, but if this is the only one I get, I definitely won't be disappointed. So I really enjoyed this. I ended up getting Nocterra #1. I actually got the hardcover from their Kickstarter. I still need to read. I did read this a little bit, and the story, I'll be honest, kind of lost me in one volume. I don't know if they wrote this to make it like a, well, everything's really written for a graphic novel format rather than individual issues, let's be honest. But I feel like specifically here, they might have wrote this to, go toward a hardcover or a trade paperback more than an issue #1. Because the story kind of lost me, like, all of a sudden, like, the sun goes out, I guess, all the stars in the sky go out, and you're kind of fighting darkness itself, but you're not dealing with the, climate impact that would have or the extreme cold. I don't know. I'm overthinking it, obviously, but nonetheless, you get this really cool Jock cover. So I at least had to get it for the Jock cover. But yeah, Nocterra, not too bad, but it didn't really catch me. I'd have that hardcover to read, though, so I'm definitely going to give that a read and see what that's like. So probably my biggest, I hate saying this because I was really looking forward to this book. Maybe my biggest disappointment of the week was the Swamp Thing #1. Just because I wanted to see, they introduced a new character, Swamp Thing, basically. I don't know if this character has been introduced in any prior comics, like Infinite Frontier Zero, if he was thrown in there, or any of the other Swamp Thing Walmart giant sizes that I haven't read, because Mike Perkins and I think Ron V were working on that as well. But this one, it just, I figured they would use the first issue, let you get to know this character, explain maybe why he's the Swamp Thing, where's Alec Holland at, the Swamp Thing most people know and love. And we really don't get any explanation on what happened to the past Swamp Thing. I think there's a scene with the past Swamp Thing where he basically gets taken out by a new villain, like, pretty quickly, and that villain absorbs the green. It's very confusing, basically. And meanwhile, the new character they introduce, like, he has these visions of the green and him not being able to use it properly. And I don't know, there's not a lot of likable traits on this new character so far. Let's put it that way. They don't make you want to read issue 2 of this guy. He is definitely not Alec Holland. So I will say this, though, the Mike Perkins art, Mike Perkins knocked it out of the park, at least art-wise. So I do appreciate Mike Perkins art. And then the cover, I think that's a Medina cover. Not too bad. Doesn't show up too well in the camera, obviously, because there's a lot of, black and green on there. But yeah, Mike Perkins at least did his job. The book looks really good. So if you're just like a Perkins fan, definitely check this out if you like the Future State stuff and see what you thought. This one was kind of fun, but once again, I probably won't be back for issue 2. Crime Syndicate #1. Yeah, I mean, the main story didn't do too much for me. You get a little bit of Ultraman's origin and what's going on with the rest of the characters, but there's not a lot, once again, to make you want to read issue 2. The most fun part of this issue was the end. where basically, if you've read All-Star Superman #1 and you see Grant Morrison condense Superman's origin down to one page, he does the same thing in this for Ultraman. It's pretty hilarious. It's like once you get the origin, it shows the Kent family, just says something like bastards. So it's pretty funny to see how, his attitude is different than Superman's, just in the thought bubbles, basically. Yet they're using the same panel work as All-Star Superman. So kind of fun there. Once again, I hate to be negative, but like the DC stuff overall, I'm just disappointed with this week. Suicide Squad #1. I guess at least you get this cool John Cena cover. I guess they're really pushing Peacemaker. Like in terms of wrestling, I guess this will be my one wrestling use until we get to the figures. Then it's a whole different ball game. But they're really pushing Peacemaker like down our throats, like John Cena got pushed to WWE down our throats. It's really appropriate because I've got the future state. We'll just go ahead and show that one too because it's pretty much the same story there. So as you can see, Peacemaker, more Peacemaker. So he's the guy he's their boy. They're going with Peacemaker now. So there you go. My boy Connor is trapped in this book. He's being held hostage by bad writing in this book. So somehow, like, Amanda Waller has him caged up in this one, and somehow by this one he's convinced to be a hero by Amanda Waller. I don't know. At least they do show like one splash panel of him remembering, like, oh yeah, Young Justice and Teen Titans helped me become the person I'm actually supposed to be. But you get just peace. At least the art in this one isn't bad. The Placencia art or whatever his name is, I forget. The art's not bad in this one. It's not bad at all. But yeah, I enjoyed the first issue of this, not so much the second issue. And by this point, I was like, I don't care about Peacemaker. I really don't. So not going to add it to the list. Infinite Frontier Zero, I have no idea what was going on in this book. It was just like a robot chicken, except not funny, and you get a glimpse into, I don't know, like there's one of these books somewhere where, like, I don't know, I'll just get into most DC stuff now, because like I said, I don't want to talk negatively for too long. I'm sure there's my modern men pal, Drew Manchu, I'm sure somewhere he's sitting with a big smile on his face or shaking his head or saying, I told you so. But somewhere between like this book and this book, you have Spectre and like all of these books. Spectre has a nice little send-off in this book where Wonder Woman is the only being left on Earth, or in the universe, I should say. It's just darkness and bleak blackness, and she actually sees like the Brainiac skull. And the only person left floating in that skull is the Spectre. And he's like, don't worry. Brainiac's been dead for decades, centuries, millennia. It's just me. But I want to stay alive long enough just to meet Wonder Woman one more time because she's the only glimpse of hope left. And he's finally realized that a life of vengeance really probably wasn't the best way to go when you have this beacon of hope and love in Wonder Woman. And it's kind of a nice little touching moment. By the way, once again, Jim Bartel, absolutely worth the art right there, but you get this Nubia storyline you don't care about, so you're going to end up overpaying for this book if you want the Jim Bartel art. But nonetheless, Spectre, good send-off in this book. Also, Spectre gets killed off in this before this happens, but there's multiple universes because of this book. So we're just going to throw those over there. So I don't know. I don't know. They weren't cheap, so pass. Just pass. This book was kind of fun. We'll go to a Marvel. America Chavez, Made in the USA #1. Happy to see America back in her own book. I may actually have to add this to the pull list if I don't eliminate my pull list altogether after all this future state stuff. But the covers are great. The art on the inside is actually better than the cover. I'm not sure why that artist wasn't the cover artist. But yeah, just a nice, fun story involving America, and she meets other heroes, like Spider-Man's in there. Kind of trying to teach America that, hey, your powers are kind of messed up. Hey, that's fine. Mine are always messed up too. So some fun character moments. We'll see where they go. I'll probably read this eventually on Marvel Unlimited, if nothing else. But actually had some fun with this book. And like I said, you get some good art in it. And I still need to read Crossover and Ice Cream Man, which I bought this last week as well. So behind on one each on these titles. So I'll probably end up reading these after the stream. But there's that. All right, so now just for the pickups in general, I got a nice little stack of random books here, so we'll just go over them. I don't remember if they're sorted right, but we'll just throw them all out there. While I was at the comic shop today, there's this 2-pack. I think there's just 2 books in there. Yeah, it's marked $5. So I'm like, I wonder if that comes with multiple New Avengers for $5, which this is a pretty good book. I'll buy it a few times because this is like my 3rd time buying this book. But I turn around, I get another wonderful book, Captain America issue 1, the start of the Ed Brubaker, Steve Epting run. So a phenomenal book to have in the collection for sure. So I'm like, well, that's easily worth a $5 bill right there. So I threw that in the pile. I have really no idea what this is, but it looked really cool for $5. Official collector's edition, The Empire Strikes Back. So just a magazine size special about the Empire Strikes Back. So you don't really see a lot of stuff from that era for $5. It's a little beat up, sure, but it was probably not bagged and boarded until the store got it. So definitely be flipping through this. Looks like a lot of fun. Just obviously phenomenal cover there. Got a whole bunch of 20-cent comics here. Actually, no, those are 50 centers. We'll save those for another minute. All right, actually, I got 3 on top, and then the other ones are 50 cents for my shop. Here's this random one. I know people love these hip-hop covers. Unfortunately, this does have, looks like just a little bit of water damage or something at the very bottom. Probably, hopefully, could be pressed out, but it does have a little discoloration on the bottom there. But Nova #1 hip-hop edition. So 20 cents for these hip-hop covers. Yeah, that's an easy decision all day. Need to get that in a Mylar. Don't know too much about this. I've heard a lot of, older fans in the community talk pretty fondly of this book. John Byrne's XMen. So 20 cents, figured why wouldn't I go ahead and get this? Looks like a lot of fun, and it's got that 90s shininess to it. I have several copies of this book, but I wasn't going to leave this laying for 20 cents. Ultimate X-Men issue #1. Love the Ultimate stuff, especially that first run. So for 20 cents, yeah, that was a no-brainer right there. Let's see. Some of these, like I said, they're actually 50 centers for my local shop. I just found out they had a 50-cent section I didn't know about. So I went and picked up a bunch of things there on Sunday. Got an ash can for the X-Files #1. Just really like that cover in black and white, if nothing else. But yeah, as a preview for actual X-Files #1. So I guess maybe first X-Files in comics. Woo! Whatever that means. Zombie #0. So slowly getting all these like first milestone issues, and I think this was one of them. So like the 90s milestone stuff. 50 cents for, I think, the first full Jessica Cruz or something like that, I think. Justice League 31. Everyone tries to make different appearances for Jessica Cruz. I think this is one of them. Got Green Arrow Year 1. Diggle and Jock on that one. So if nothing else, I wanted it for the Jock artwork. And Diggle's not too bad either. Everyone always shows issue 1 of this, but I never see issue 2. I didn't even know this, this was done by the same artist. But Mr. T and the T-Force issue 2, another Mr. T Neil Adams cover there. So I've never seen an issue 2 of this, so I figured it's got a little bit of battle damage on it, but for 50 cents, it was just a fun pickup because why not? And then kind of like the Thundercats stuff right now, you don't see it too often. When you do, people want money for it. And there's no way I was going to leave this laying for 50 cents. Silverhawks #4. So anytime I see a Silverhawks, a Thundercats, anything like that for cheap, I will definitely buy this for 50 cents as often as I can. All right. While I was at the shop on Sunday, I actually made a couple trips to the shop this week, just because I missed last week. Found this Thunderstrike issue #1 for $3. I guess people are going kind of crazy on this one now, because he's dressed like this in the new movie, I guess, Love and Rockets or whatever you're calling that movie. But yeah, for $3, I figured why not go ahead and just add it to the stack. Like I said, nice 90s gimmicks. Love that shininess. And then a couple run fillers for $3 for my X-Men collection. It was missing 225. Got that in a newsstand there, which I think, that's probably as common as your direct editions. Then 227, $3 once again. Needed them to fill the run. Missing the Fall of the Mutant stuff for whatever reason. Before we keep going, let's see what Chris Barrett's saying in here. Peacemaker is going to be the Lex Luger of DC. Yeah, I guess he's got to do a lot of torture racks. For $5, you got $50 worth of books. Yeah, maybe actually between that Captain America, I think for $5 went a long way, and then I don't know about this Thunder Strike and then the Silverhawks. I guarantee you the Mr. T is probably 50 cents though. Yeah, definitely like the X-Men. Jock has definitely done something more than Tech 880. He has an awesome body of work. At least if nothing else, go read Witches. That was a lot of fun. All right. Another X-Men run filler. I actually went to some antique shops too this week. I forgot to mention that. So Sunday they have free parking in my city where you don't have to pay a meter. So I actually hit the antique shop over there because it's next to the meters. Another run filler for me, which desperately needs a rebag. This thing is very yellowed, but got an issue 170 where Storm's fighting Callisto. I was missing 202 with some Sentinel action there for $3. And actually, I would have bought a little more if I known there was a sale at this booth. Apparently, I got like 20% off all of these. They actually had a First Super Sons for $5, but it was not near mint. I basically could have got it for cover for $4, but probably my find of the antique shop though was this. I don't know if this is worth any money or anything. I just thought the cover was really cool. But it's Avengers Children's Crusade second print. I know everyone's going crazy over the WandaVision stuff, so I figured this would be, one of those random books that not too many people have shown off. And I saw that. I'm like, yep, that's going in the pile. So I thought that was really awesome. So I ended up getting that. More 20-cent goodness. Actually, I got this too for $1 at half price books. Mighty Avengers #1. I think Captain Marvel changes her name again in this one, something like that. But yeah, figured for $1, throw it in the stack because everything else I had was 20 cents. I keep finding this book. I don't know why I keep picking up, but I guess for less than a quarter, why not? Got another copy of Oblivion Song #1. Threw that in the stack. Here is Far Sector #1. This is a third cover. Jamie McKelvey. Probably should have been the A cover, in my opinion. I really love Jamie McKelvey's work. Plus, they're really driving this character for the future state stuff. So, who knows what we'll see from that character. And then I think I dropped Farmhand around issue 10 or 11. So I figured why not go ahead and pick these three up since, just to keep the run going in case I ever want to fill the rest of it. But I got Farmhands 12, 13, and 14. Like I said, I still plan to buy these at some point in hardcover form. I really liked Farmhand. I just kept getting lost in the story because they would, Rob Guillory's doing all the work on it. So he has to take breaks, obviously, to maintain the quality. So sometimes, it's just one of those, you have a long enough break, you kind of need a refresher. Sometimes if I'm reading like that, I just like to read in a hardcover form. So that's what I'm doing with Farmhand. And actually really Chew as well, the new Chew that's going on. I'm just going to wait and read that in trade and hardcover form, I think, as well. And then I found a Warlock and the Infinity Watch, issue #1 for 20 cents. Just a cool epilogue to the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. It's got all the characters from that. It's pretty much their story. And then Port of Earth is heating up quite a bit because of the Amazon series. I think I might have actually given away an issue 1. I can't remember. I have another issue 1 that I kept from my collection, of course. But I actually also found an issue 2 and an issue 3. Really good story, by the way. But shout out to Poor Man's Comics. Got to shout him out every time I show up Port of Earth. Because years ago, he AOK'd me the trade. And he obviously knew about it way before, anyone even mentioned a TV series. So always shout out to PMC, of course, for that. All right. And I think it's time to reveal those 2 big keys I've upgraded. So I said, Barrett, this is the one you want to stay tuned for. So I went to this antique shop. I actually got 3 figures from this booth, but it was like a comic book collector's dream. You walk into an antique shop and it's just, you turn the corner and there's just a collector's booth of action figures, comic books, and stuff like that. I mean, these are it looked like the guy just rebagged and boarded every single book in this booth. I don't know if he's just that meticulous type of collector. He has literally used the same bags and boards the entire time he's collected. Every bag and board looked pristine, brand new. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God. I was just like I had to like take a breath. I was like, brand new booth. It's only like 5 minutes away from where I live. Unfortunately, a lot of the run filler stuff was not priced to sell. I mean, like a minimum of a lot of run fillers were $5, which no, I don't pay $5 for run filler. I pay, as you saw, 20 cents. So like I was desperate to fill some runs. Like I'm talking Transformers, G.I. Joe, like issue 100. It was after the issue 100 for $5. I would have considered a few issues. 80s Batman, 80s Superman. So some of the stuff was actually probably worth $5. But some of the stuff I probably wouldn't have paid $3 or more for, if that makes any sense. But nonetheless, the guy took excellent care of like all of his books. I could just tell looking through everything that these were all his from the time he read them to the time he put them in this booth. So one of those books, he did have a Spinner X. So this is basically like his version of Wall Book. I did not get a super great deal on this, but I think for the condition, it was a decent deal still. I mean, it's still almost what it goes for on eBay, but since I just walked up to this booth, I figured, I don't have to pay to get it shipped. I don't have to trust the USPS not to destroy this book. So I kind of did almost pay value for this, which I try not to do too often. But Chris Barrett, that book is Booster Gold #1. So now I have a second copy of Booster Gold #1, the collection. So now I have the direct and the newsstand. So I'll go ahead and hit you guys with one real quick. Newsstand. So now I have Booster Gold #1 in the newsstand. And we got Tacoma Comics. What's going on, man? We got Tacoma. He says, well, I'm catching Seawood live. What is going on, Tacoma? And we had the Warlord in the chat. What is going on, Warlord? So nice to see people hopping in here. Unfortunately, they didn't have any LJNs. That would have been awesome. They didn't have – this guy didn't collect wrestling, unfortunately. Then it would have been a big-time dream come true of a booth because that would have been awesome. But he had, like, everything but wrestling figures, basically. So, yeah, Booster Gold #1. And like I said, my other copy is in pretty good condition as well. But, I may start sending a few things to CGC, and this may be one of them since it's – like a post-85 Copper Age newsstand, and it's in really nice condition there. So, like I said, or I might just throw it in the claim sale. So, we'll see. I'm not one to, like, hoard multiple copies of stuff. Well, I am, but that's usually because I got this other stuff for cheap. But I definitely am happy to have that. So, that'll probably be the copy I keep in the collection. And maybe I'll finally sell that direct edition because I know this guy here has really been wanting a Booster Gold #1. I'll definitely hide the other one. So if you see me promote a claim sale, which, Chris, I'm leaving those letters up for a reason. We're probably going to have one pretty soon. So, yeah, that may be in the next claim sale. And I upgraded this comic as well, so I walked into the shop today. And I may have overpaid for this book, to be honest, but it was there Sunday. I couldn't stop looking at the whole time I was checking out because I was right behind the counter. It was an amazing looking copy of this book. And I told myself, like, I don't want to pay that for that book, but it's a really nice copy. So I went today. I was the only one in the shop, so I had a chance to talk to the shop owner, and it was still there. And he's ringing me up. And I just cannot stop looking at this book. And I'm just like, you know what? Let's talk about this book. And he starts taking it out. He shows me a defect in here. And it looks like it's a mostly pressable defect to me, in my opinion. There's only like one little color rub that bothers me on this book. But like I said, I probably maybe overpaid for it a little bit compared to what I usually pay for comic books. But that one I posted on Instagram earlier. DC Comics Presents 26, First Teen Titans. But my copy I have in the collection, it is, in my opinion, it's almost a reader quality copy. I don't know if it's like cover falling off that bad, but it's probably like 5 or less if you're grading it. This one, I would almost say if this defect, which I don't even know if the camera's even going to show it, there's like the slightest maybe color break by Superman's boot there, which, like I said, instead it's going to focus on the reflection there. There, you can kind of see it there. Maybe like just the gentlest of creases right there that I think most of that crease could be pressed out. But if you look at the spine, like, I don't think there's a single tick on this spine. It's from like what, late 79, early 80 on this one. Like I said, the only color up I can see is on that newsstand barcode right there. And then of course, like I said, the only other imperfections probably like you see that little like light grazing on the bottom there. But yeah, I was like, I probably overpaid for this, but I think this is the type of stuff you send to CGC. So I think I'm probably just going to go ahead and move my other copy now and definitely keep this one in the collection. But yeah, I got a few things I've been probably planning this CGC thing for years. So Barrett says, I still can't believe I got my DC Presents for that. Yeah, you got to steal the deal on that one, but I did not. I definitely paid more for this copy. So I could tell you that. So yeah, congrats on that once again, Chris. I know you got a great deal on that. All right. So those are the comics I got this week. But if you guys have been paying attention to the Comic Core Fridays, I have been going. Chad has been taking me down this toy rabbit hole. Like the toys are just getting really good right now. Let's be honest. Like the detail and the craftsmanship in most of these toys is like obviously better than it's ever been. So it's just been a lot of fun chasing them down at like Targets and Walmarts and stuff. So I'll go ahead and get started with these G.I. Joe ones because I actually had to order these off Amazon. Because one time, here's Destro, for instance, this is the G.I. Joe Classified line. And these figures are absolutely beautiful. They're finally making 6-inch G.I. Joe figures. And man, are they the coolest figures. But one day I saw like a whole bunch of these at Walmart. I don't know why I didn't buy them at the time. But I went in like probably 5 days later because I'm always looking for the NECA Turtle stuff. And everything, they were cleaned out. They had the little like the smaller ones that are kind of like reproduction of the 80s stuff, all gone. These, they definitely didn't stand a chance. They were all gone. So, but besides the one time I've seen them at Walmart, these things, I haven't seen them at Target. I haven't seen them with the Meijer I went to. People are buying up these classifieds quick. So this one I have not seen in stores at all. I had to go to Amazon to buy it, and I don't even know if they still have it available. But that's Cobra Commander. So just once again, awesome detail on that Cobra Commander. The only other one I have so far is Snake Eyes. I might at least go for all of the Cobra figures. So I'm thinking about pre-ordering the Zartan one because I'm not sure where all that's going to be available at. I don't know if they're going to do a Baroness again. I imagine they're going to do the Baroness. So I think she was included with a vehicle, and that thing just blew off the shelves or was pre-ordered online like crazy. But yeah, I think we're going to start collecting more of these classified series because they're really nice figures for sure. So I'm definitely going to get some more of those. But going back to where I bought that Booster Gold, I talked about that antique dealer selling a lot of toys, and a lot of these toys, they were reasonably priced. I respect the pricing of most everything he had, but like I said, I'm trying not to dump too much money into toys. But if there's a deal, I'm going to take it. So these are kind of like the equivalent of Star Wars Power of the Force for DC Comics, and that's the Superman Man of Steel line from the 90s. But these are some of my favorite figures when I was a kid to collect and play with and stuff. So to see them basically mint on card, and they're only $5 a piece. So I'm like, I don't think I ever had the black suit Superman, so I'm like, screw that. I'm going to get this mint on card for sure. So I had to have that. Nice. I had to figure out how to get that sticker off of there without leaving like that gummy residue. And then, of course, they also had John Henry. I always put this one back because, as you can see, his arm is terrible. But he like the case is still perfect, but it looks like someone took him out and played with him because his arm, and you can, I guess, make all the jokes you want to about that arm, Chris Barrett. There you go. But I don't think I ever had a John Henry Irons that I played with as a kid. I probably have this at home, still in the packaging in a closet somewhere. But figure $5, I wasn't going to leave this laying. And of course, I had to have my boy Connor Kent. This one's definitely staying in the package. I just found my the loose one the other day from when I was a kid. I just need to clean them up before I put them on the shelf behind me. But yeah, as soon as I saw this, no way I was going to leave that in that shop. This was mine as soon as I saw it. So, one of my all-time favorite figures probably is this Connor Kent Superboy. He actually has these like little lock nodules on his arm. He actually came with a motorcycle. Actually, there it is on the back. So I do have this this motorcycle in my garage. So I need to get cleaned up. He's missing a handle though on the motorcycle. I need to find that still. But yeah, it would have been cool if he had the motorcycle as well. I probably would have bought that too. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool find for $5 a figure. So yeah, I got those. And then I got some wrestling figures today at Target. So I had a really good Target run with these figures. So I'm already putting stuff in the way. I actually found an AEW figure today. You cannot find these in stores at all. Target had literally just this one figure. So both times I've seen AEW at Target, I have cleaned their shelves. So now I have 3 total AEW figures. And for my, I guess, by my research, I mean, the Figure Wrestling podcast, I think they said this is supposed to be the rarest figure of Wave 3, where I think if you get a package of them, like there's 2 of each character, and then there's 1 of Riho. Plus, I figured it'd be cool to get, the women's championship there. But yeah, Riho. But unfortunately, that means I missed out on all these other guys like Pac, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, and Matt and Nick Jackson. Obviously, we're still really looking for Orange Cassidy, for Cat and Mark, and of course my collection. So I'm looking for 2 copies basically. But yeah, super disappointed because that means someone probably just bought them all out before I got there, and then that's all that was left. And then I think we're gonna let these next 2 breathe. I did want to show them in the box first, because they were pretty cool. So I was excited to get the AEW figure, but I just kept walking by these when I was in Target. I'm like, I think about that both of them. Actually got this one first and took them to a price scanner. It came up $20. I'm like, I'm getting the other one. So they only had Andre, and then the other one they had, oh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage. So they have these like WrestleMania 3 figures, but they come with the ring that, pushed them into the ring. So I thought that was a really cool idea to include that little ring as a part of the toy. So unfortunately, they're not like the elite style figures. They're just the basics, it looks like. So, but then again, like, does Andre the Giant need that much articulation? Like, not really. So yeah, we're gonna let these bad boys breathe, because as soon as I saw these in the store, I'm like, yeah, they're going in the collection behind me there. I don't know if Macho Man will, because Macho, at least I got the original LJN. He's back there, but I don't have an Andre. So now I do. So we'll go ahead and pop this out of the box, get rid of this twist tie here. So we can just cut that off without cutting my finger on live YouTube. So we'll get that out of here. All right, let's see what Andre looks like here. And of course, that cut. Well, this is why I don't play Uncharted 4 as much as I want to right now. I gotta. All right, we'll just show them and then get the rest of the cardboard out of there later. So there is a close-up of Andre. I'm letting him breathe. He's going to end up on the display behind me for sure. And then Macho Man, Pink Tights, getting ready to fight Ricky Steamboat, one of the greatest matches of all time at WrestleMania 3. They certainly put a lot of tape into this one, I can tell you that. Dang. All right. See if we can't have any calamities here. At least got to get this cardboard off, because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't. Chris Barrett says they only did Mach and Andre. Like, okay, so they only do have the 2 like that. Interesting. So I guess I have the whole wave. I'm surprised they didn't get a Hogan then. Well, they might be on the outs with Hogan still, because he's an idiot. So I did forget about that. All right, can we not destroy the actual ring part here? It's got twist ties. All right, well, maybe. Can you tell I don't? Okay, we at least got Andre out of there. That's all we're getting. I'm going to open Macho Man off air. So there's Andre. Great looking figure. He's definitely going in the display behind me there. So yeah, Andre. So really happy I found this one. Actually, I had a decent amount of them, because usually, like, a lot of these figures, for some reason, that everyone's been buying everything wrestling at the stores lately. So happy to get Andre. But with that, I think I'm going to call it here, because that's all I got to show. Oh, we got the Mastodon in the chat, though. What is going on, Donnie? Happy to see Donnie in the chat as well. But big thanks, guys. And like I said, maybe this cut will heal on my thumb one day, and I can play some video games for you guys again, because it was a lot of fun playing Uncharted the other day. Thank you guys for making it to that stream. I'm going to continue to try to get some PS5 streaming on this channel, as well as some more toys. Maybe I'll enjoy some comic books here and there. like this one. And then maybe I'll sell one of these at some point to Chris Barrett. We'll see. But big thanks once again for hopping in here. And I'll catch you guys next time.